welcome back to Sense and Sensitivity, where I'm sharing content all about my journey with rosacea. Today I want to share my top tips for dealing with rosacea. Tip number 1 is get a diagnosis from a medical professional. Before my diagnosis, I had all sorts of ideas of what my skin condition might be, and it really hindered my progress in healing my skin because I was treating it with different products that weren't appropriate. Once I got my diagnosis from my dermatologist, it opened up my eyes to the best way to treat my skin. So I really recommend that you get a proper medical diagnosis, because what you think is acne might be rosacea, what you think is rosacea might be perioral dermatitis. There's a lot of different things that sometimes look similar, and so the best thing to do is get a real diagnosis so that you know how to best approach treating and healing your skin. Tip number 2, if you do have rosacea, and in general I think this is a good tip, is treat your skin like silk. No rubbing, no harsh scrubbing, which is super important when you have rosacea, as all of those things can irritate your skin. So that means we're using gentle products, we're making sure to hydrate, and we're gently drying and finding appropriate ways to exfoliate without harming our skin. Tip number 3 is find a skincare routine that works for you and be consistent. This is one of the most important things that you can do, because in general, having rosacea means you have a dysfunctional barrier with your skin. And so we need to be using gentle products regularly to cleanse and hydrate the skin and of course protect it from the sun. Now I'll talk more about all of these things in future videos, but the general idea is find a simplified skincare routine that works for you and stick with it. Having rosacea is not a time to explore and experiment with different products or subscription boxes. Big time bummer, but it's the best thing for your skin. Tip number 4 is discover what your triggers are and avoid them. Now this is a long process, and after over 2 years of being diagnosed with this condition, I'm still figuring out what my triggers are. I'll share those with you in an upcoming video, but take the time to journal and figure out what your triggers are, and then to the best of your abilities, avoid them. That's going to be one of the best ways to keep your skin in maintenance mode. Tip number 5, and you've probably heard this a lot, is wear sunscreen every single day. You've probably heard this before, but it's one of the most important things people with rosacea and other sensitive skin conditions can do to protect our skin from the environment and the elements. And it's also dermatologists' number 1 tip for anti-aging. Now, my preference is mineral sunscreen, and I know dermatologists in general recommend mineral sunscreens for people with rosacea. That means any blend or combination of zinc and or titanium dioxide. Those can sometimes be thick, but there are great ones that are tinted so you don't get that white cast, and I'll be explaining and talking about my favorites in an upcoming video along with my entire sunscreen routine. The most important thing here, whether it's mineral or chemical SPF, is that you're being consistent with wearing an SPF of 30 or higher every single day, rain or shine. My last tip is to perfect and forget. So for me, there are days when I wake up and my skin is really bumpy, it's really red, and it's just overall not happy. I used to spend a lot of time looking in the mirror and being upset and wondering what I could do about it. And what I found is that even with my consistent skincare routine and everything else being kept the same, there are days when my skin is just going to be more irritated than others. If that's the case, the best thing that I know to do is to use my tinted sunscreen and the makeup products that I found that work for me to just give me some nice even coverage and go about my day. That way when I see myself in the mirror, I don't start stressing out and feeling upset about the way my skin looks, which causes more stress, and that causes more redness. So this isn't necessarily something to do when you're having an active flare-up, but on a day when you just happen to be more red or bumpy than normal and it's going to upset you, for me the best thing to do is just give it a nice little even coverage and move on with my day feeling good about myself. So I hope you found those tips helpful. I'll be back with more content all about my rosacea journey. Please like and subscribe, and leave your comments below on what your best tips are. Thanks, and talk soon.